Welcome to the first ever episode of this channel. As most of you are aware, Samsung has recently terminated the production of their very beloved handset, the Galaxy Note 7. Well, this is unfortunate for both Samsung and its fan base. Luckily, in the Android department, the best isn't confined to a single manufacturer. Coming at number 5, the Mi 5S Plus. Before you guys crucify me for comparing the Mi 5S Plus with the Galaxy Note 7, hear me out. This is for people who might not want to fully blow out their Note 7 money. Maybe they want to buy a temporary cost-effective phone until Samsung launches Note 8. For people belonging to that group, the Mi 5S Plus is the perfect phone, mostly because it costs half as much as any given big bron premium phone, and also because it has almost all the big bron premium phone features. Like the Note 7, it fronts a 5.7-inch screen, but it isn't a QHD screen, it is rather a Full HD screen with pixel density of 386 dpi. It comes out of the box hosting Android 6.0, but again, you do not get the stock Android experience. Instead, you get the user interface of Xiaomi, which is the MIUI 8. But nonetheless, you can always download the Google Launcher to get the stock experience. That isn't an issue. It is powered by the Snapdragon 821 chip, which is the same CPU that powers Google's Pixel devices. It comes in two versions, the 64GB 4GB RAM version and the 128GB 6GB RAM version. You'll be paying around $370 to $470 for these devices. Talking about the camera, it has a dual camera setup. It has two 12-megapixel sensors which have an aperture of f2.0 with a pixel size of 1.55 microns, which is again the same as the Google Pixel devices. And these cameras can record videos in UHD, the maximum resolution for these phones, which is 3840 x 2160 at 30 frames per second, which is impressive for that money. The front camera has a 4-megapixel sensor with an aperture of 2.0, and the pixel size is 2.0, which is pretty impressive, and it can record videos up to 100p. It has NFC, it has USB Type-C, and it has a fingerprint scanner. All this for about $450, which is good enough. It's a good deal. Coming in at number 4, the S7 Edge. What better way to restore the whole Galaxy experience than the S7 Edge? You'd be surprised to learn how similar the S7 Edge is to its bigger cousin, the Note 7. Since they're so similar, I'm only going to point out the differences rather than discussing the features, alright? The S7 Edge has Corning Gorilla Glass 4 rather than Glass 5. It doesn't have a stylus, whereas the Note 7 has a stylus. It measures 5.5 inches opposed to 5.7 on the Note 7. It has a CPU Snapdragon 820 rather than Exynos 8890. It has Adreno 530 GPU instead of Mali. It has micro USB version 2.0, whereas the Note 7 has 3.0. There's no USB Type-C for this, and there is no iris scanner. And the battery this is a bit surprising, because you'd imagine that it would have a smaller battery considering it has a smaller screen, but this has a bigger battery compared to Note 7, because this has 3600 milliamp battery compared to 3500, and this is going to cost you about $769 to $800. Alright, that's the S7 Edge, number 4. Now, moving on to number 3, the Moto Z Force. This is my personal favorite, because this model is an achievement in itself. The implementation of modularity opens the door to innumerable possibilities. For example, if you run out of battery juice, stick a battery mod on its back. Do you want more oomph from your camera? Stick a camera mod on the back. Do you want more bass in the room? Slap a JBL speaker mod. The fun you get just by realizing how cool the concept of modularity is. It's just way too cool. Peek into the future. I hope other manufacturers open the doors to the concept of modularity, because it is just too awesome. Alright, it comes with a 5.5 QHD AMOLED LED screen with a pixel density of 535 dpi, which is more than what the Google Pixel XL provides. Out of the box, it has Android 6.0.1. It is powered by a Snapdragon 820, not the 821. Remember that. 820 is still good enough, in my opinion. It comes in two variants, 32GB and the 64GB models with 4GB of RAM on both the models. It supports SD card up to 256GB and the screen is shock resistant. Yes, you can drop your phone and not be afraid of cracking the screen. Alright, talking about the camera, it has a single 21MP shooter which comes with an aperture of f1.8 with a pixel size of 1.12 microns. It is a good camera, yes it is. The camera can record up to UHD resolutions. The secondary camera is a 5MP shooter with a pixel size of 1.4 microns and an aperture of f2.2. It supports NFC, USB-C, and it has a battery of 3500 milliamps, and it is non-removable. Remember, till now, all the phones that I've discussed come with non-removable batteries. And this phone is going to cost you about $700. Coming to number 2, the Google Pixel XL. And this is the phone that's been causing a lot of stir in the news, in a good way. The Google Pixel XL. It supports a 5.5-inch QHD AMOLED LED screen with a pixel density of 534 dpi. Out of the box, it has Android 7.0. Yes, that's right. The main highlight of this phone has been its camera. The 12.3MP shooter with an aperture of f2.0 and a pixel size of 1.55 microns. It does not have optical image stabilization, whereas the Moto has optical image stabilization. Instead, Google says it has digital image stabilization. To wait and see how that works in the real world. It can record up to UHD resolution. Again, it's not 4K. They've been calling it 4K, but it is UHD. The front camera is a 8MP shooter with an aperture of f2.4 and a pixel size of 1.4 microns. So it's going to be a good camera. It has a very wide aperture setup. The Pixel is powered by the Snapdragon 821, the top-of-the-line Snapdragon CPU. It comes in two variants, the 32GB and the 128GB. There's no 64. Yes, that's true, there is no 64. Both of these models have 4GB of RAM. This has NFC and USB Type-C. It has a battery of 3450 milliamps and it is non-removable. Keep that in mind. And finally, coming into number 1, yes, this is probably the most awaited phone of this year. I believe this is going to get the spotlight because of the Note 7 disaster. The LG V20, yes, a very fine-tuned camera which might turn out to be one of the best cameras the smartphone industry has ever encountered. The V20 engulfs a screen area of 5.72 inches. QHD, comes out of the box with Android 7. It is shock resistant, but it does not have AMOLED. Instead, it has IPS LCD. Well, it's good enough. No complaints about IPS screens. They're good. No complaints. It has a dual setup camera. The first is a 16MP f1.8 and the second camera is an 8MP f2.4 wide-angle camera. It has optical image stabilization. It records up to UHD. Again, not 4K, UHD. Front camera is a 5MP f1.9 shooter, which I guess will be good enough. No details about the pixel size so far, just have to wait and watch. It is powered by the Snapdragon 820, again not the 821. It comes in two versions, 32 and the 64GB with 4GB of RAM. But this will come out as a surprise in a good way because it supports SD card up to 2TB. That's insane! 2TB! It's not 2TB is good. And this phone, it is so strange. It has passed the MIL STD 810G, the American Military Standard test, which is a test to test an equipment's durability in the real-world conditions. For example, humidity, rain, low pressure for altitude testing, exposure to high and low temperatures, plus temperature shock, explosive atmosphere leakage, acceleration shock, and the list goes on. So this has passed that test. This test is mainly for military equipment, you get the idea. But this phone has passed that, so it means it's gonna last very long. So it is a good investment. This phone is going to last. This phone has USB Type-C, NFC, and it has a 3200 milliamp hour battery, which is removable. That's correct, you can remove the battery. See, this is so important because if Note 7s had removable batteries, Samsung wouldn't had to cancel the production of the phones. The stupid trend of making ultra thin phones was created by Apple, and I hope other manufacturers have learned a lesson because of what happened to Samsung. Please make removable batteries again, because it is so simple. I mean, if you know the battery is faulty, and if it's faulty, you just remove it. You don't have to cancel the whole handset. You can just make a new battery and give the users the new battery instead of making a whole new phone. Stop following up. Alright, so that's it for today. You've got the 5 phones, the best 5 phones as replacement for the Note 7, the Galaxy Note 7. I hope you like this video. If you do, please show some love. This is Mr. Green signing off.